All right, we are back, and it has been a fabulous afternoon here on the ASU campus at the 15th annual Player Networking event, and it is just unbelievable. The guests that we've had here today, plus the players. Ray, the players that are just here are just phenomenal. I mean, like I told Daryl, we get done with the broadcast, I'm going to have to find him. He's going to have to give me a tour. He's going to point out, because I know a lot of players that I've seen from that I remember, but there's so many here that probably we don't see them in full football gear. It's kind of hard to recognize them.
Well, you know what's interesting, Steve, you'd be surprised at a lot of players that when we see each other off the field, because we've only really seen each other in uniform, many times we don't know each other. And then that's not taken into consideration over the years. We gained a couple pounds. Like Frank probably didn't know who I was. But well, Frank Minnifield, yeah, one of the greatest to ever play the game. Looks like he can still play the game today. Is here with us today, and I'm glad Frank could join us on the show.
Frank, a pleasure to have you on the show today. Thank you for coming.
Hey, thank you. And I'd just like to address that last statement by Ray. If y'all put me back out there right now, I embarrass everybody. Somebody be saying, was that
somebody
blood he was
get
playing
it. Somebody got to get him. Yes, yes.
Oh, that's me. So Cleveland Brown.
Yep.
How was your stint with the Browns?
Well, I would venture to say is probably one of the most exciting 10 years in the history of the Cleveland Browns during the time that I was there. We had an unbelievable team throughout the whole 10 years. I had the great fortune of playing the last part of my career with Ray Ellis, and Ray came to us from Philadelphia and allowed us to be able to let somebody else play the run while we played the pass, and Ray just happened to fill that bill perfectly.
Well, that's really well. Tell us a little bit about what have you learned, or I should say, what have you imparted to some of the other younger players here about your experience in transitioning from player to business person?
Well, I think the first thing you have to learn is that you got to get ready. It takes preparation. You got to realize that you're not going to play pro football up into your 50s and 60s, that when you quit pro football, it's going to be 50 years, hopefully, that you're going to have to be productive, be a productive citizen. And the main thing that I like to always tell them, don't just be a football player. Find a way to make a contribution to this world that we live in. And if you can find a way to contribute and some child someplace benefits from your contribution, then you being here was worth the effort that God put into you.
Oh, absolutely. You know, one of the things that we're close friends with a lady who actually does a lot of the announcements for the NFL for the Super Bowl event coming up tomorrow, and I'm amazed and very honored that the different ways that the NFL has gotten involved in the communities, not just here in Phoenix, but around the country. We spoke with a few people from the recycling program that the NFL got involved with in each different city, helping them so that we don't keep adding materials to landfills all the time. They get involved with that. We've also got Verizon. We want to shake our hand and take our tip our hats to Verizon for being part of that plan to be able to go back and partner with the NFL. And it's not just all football, and I think people just need to know the game is great, the people that play the game are great, but what the NFL does around the community, it's a bigger picture that some people probably don't even realize.
I agree 100%, and you know, it's just so important for the players to understand that their stay in pro football is a platform for the rest of their life, and it's just an opportunity to get them started, jump started, if you will. But they have to think that they are meant to do more than just tackle, pass, and run the football. That God meant for them to be much more than that. And if they stop and think about all the opportunities that they're going to have in order to make a contribution to this world, they will find a infamy of things that they could possibly engage themselves in to contribute. The biggest downside of pro football is that they make so much money in such a short period of time that they think it's going to last forever. And we got to calibrate them to let them know that they are more than just football players, and they got 50 years to prove it.
And that's just amazing. You know, one of the things that we spoke with some of the other NFL people earlier last week, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but let's just say, do you think the game tomorrow is going to be a passionate game, or do you have any predictions you want to share with us?
No, I don't have no predictions.
Yeah, I had to put him on the spot.
I don't have no prediction, but I'm going to tell you, it's the best thing that can happen to pro football is for somebody else to win every year and spread the wealth. I think that's the best thing. I don't think it's good for pro football for anyone to get on a roll and win too many of them straight. There's too many young men that's out there doing everything in their power to try to win one, and they deserve to win one. And so the more people that can win the Super Bowl, the better the game.
Absolutely, and I know the Arizona Cardinals had a hell of a season. They just had a little bit of bad luck, and I think we could have been here. I really would have loved to have seen the home team play in their home stadium for the big game, which would have really been awesome. Would have been the first time.
Yeah, I know it. It's never happened.
Yeah, well, like my good friend Dan, who was with us earlier, always says he's a devout Chicago Cub fan. There's always next year.
Yeah.
We'll look forward to next year, though.
Absolutely. Ray, do you have any parting thoughts for our listeners?
What I'd like to do is I'd like to thank everybody who tuned in. Of course, I'd like to thank you, Steve, for providing this opportunity for us to host this show. Again, as handle your business is what we're doing here. And Guy Troop, the man, the moment, all the things he's been doing for players. In 15 years, we're going to honor Dr. Lem Burnham, who was the godfather of player development and player programs at the National Football League. I want to thank all, my fraternity brothers, people like Frank Minnifield and Al Gross and many others who showed up here today, Daryl Clack. Again, former players have to be a great example for current players. This man is a former player who is an example for not only former players, but for his son. I mean, for current players, but for his son, who is now playing for the Washington Redskins. So as long as we have people in position like Frank Minnifield, who has a great product called the MED, Measuring Every Day, I think we're going to be a lot better tomorrow than we are today.
That's great. Guys, thanks so much for being here today. If we could do anything to help the cause, you just reach out. We'll be here for you.
Thank you.
All right. And that wraps it up. You have been listening to our special edition of Image Home Improvement Live right here at the Pro Player Networking event right here on the ASU campus. And I want everybody to tune in next week. We'll be on the air regular time, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And if you ever missed part of this broadcast today or any of our broadcasts, you can check us out online, on demand, 24/7 on the Double Wide Network. And remember, if you ever thought about not listening to this program, as our good friends from the 23rd century Star Trek say, resistance is futile. We'll see you next week.